Welcome to another live stream. Good morning, everyone. We have quite a few stocks on our pre-market scanner this morning, so it's already shaping up to be an exciting day. The first one is CI, which we've been trading a lot also for the past couple of weeks, maybe even few weeks. It's been showing up on scanner quite frequently, and having sub movements either in the pre-market session and then into bell, or even sometimes you know sort of all day movements or later in the day opportunities like yesterday. um, Again, gapping up this morning because it has been in this sort of perpetual squeeze that has been going on for a while. um, the actual news Let's see when the actual news happened that originated the move. And sometimes the news is not even that significant, but because the stocks have such a low float, even a little bit of even a little bit of news can inspire a little bit of buying, and then a little bit of buying. Oh, I'm sorry, a little bit of buying on a stock that has such a low float can bring it up a lot higher. Okay, so this is what it is. They signed a licensing deal to give their subsidiary Viking Energy exclusive rights to use their free power generation technology in Canada. Okay, so that was the news that originated the move, and obviously it's still just going. In terms of setups, I'd be interested in a VWAP bounce here, even though, as we can tell, it has been doing a lot of dips below VWAPs. Doesn't truly respect VWAP that well. Seems like this EMA 50 line could be better support. Yeah, it's been trailing it. It's been bouncing there a few times. So that's actually an important support for the stock today. Um, so EMA 50 bounce, or a bounce on this level of 2.9, or it's obviously also forming a flag break, or a flag, I should say. It's forming a flag. Okay, and then this morning we said we were going to be talking about news a little bit and why they're important, but let's just run through the scanner and then we'll talk about news. Then we have SNOA, something else that we've traded, I guess, at some point in our lives, because we have these um, drawings. This one is actually at the moment breaking the 5-minute flag, also known as my favorite setup. Did another one earlier in the morning. And then it's also a VWAP bounce. So a VWAP bounce or a flag break would be, another trade for me. Okay, that's that there. I'm just gonna grab my phone real quick to tell our chat room people that are not on this stream that SNOA is breaking a 5-minute flag, in case people are up and want to trade. They can take a look. What is this? 9:10, 9:35. So basically, what a trade plan would be for a flag break like this, because these happen all day long. And the entry is the break of flag, and a break of flag is the first 5-minute candle to make a new high. So the high of this candle is 907. So the entry would be as soon as the stock breaks 908. You won't always catch it at 908. You might buy it at 910, or even higher, depending on how fast it moves and whether you can get a fill or not. But that's the entry trigger. The entry trigger is the stock reaching 908. And confirmation is this increased volume. I normally like to see double the previous candle. This is even more than double volume. So the previous candle had 200,000 shares being bought. This one has 500,000 shares being bought. So it shows that other traders are also looking at that flag break. And then profit targets on our flag break are the following levels of resistance. And so we have this one at 932, 95. And then after that point, I'll just use the psychological level of 975, which is $0.25 for the third profit taking. And then stop loss is the low of the candle. So we have this VWAP on 887. So we could also use just VWAP for a stop at 886, but on a flag break, I like to use the low of the previous candle. So the candle is 879. I would use 878 for my stop loss. And that's it. Then we have ZIVO, also has been popping on scanner quite a lot. We see we have these lines from trading it at some point earlier this week or last week. Well, I guess last week. Today is only Tuesday. We see that it's tried to break VWAP a couple times, and then got a sharp rejection from short sellers defending their territory, and then it's consolidating again. We see here big spike in volume trying to break VWAP again, short sellers slamming it. This one's a little more difficult to trade on a well, even a bounce or a breakout, right? But I would personally, because it seems to be trading this EMA 50 well, I would potentially take a reversal trade, a bounce on EMA 50, taking it to VWAP. It just depends, because we see that VWAP is descending. We normally like our indicators to be ascending, because they allow for more of a range and could allow for a better trade. This one, so if you took this EMA 50 bounce to VWAP, that's a 10% trade. At this point, with EMA 50 ascending and VWAP descending, this has come down to be a 5% trade. And again, we talk about this every morning. A 5% trade doesn't mean that you're going to make 5%, because you never buy on the absolute lowest. You want to see some confirmation of bullish momentum, so you want to see a bounce, and then you never sell on the absolute highest, because you want to make sure you get a fill and you don't get slammed by short sellers, so you sell before that. So if you end up buying here and selling here, then it turns into a 3% trade, which is not bad. Again, the stock market as a whole in general doesn't move more than 1% a day, well, 0.80. So obviously these little stocks are very volatile and do these moves constantly, when you can make a lot of money even on 3% moves, because they'll do them 10 times, but it's also just a matter of making sure you have enough range to safely execute the trade, and this range is getting a little smaller and smaller, so I'd probably be more interested in a break above VWAP than a reversal trade. But with that one, we have to be careful, because it has had a few pretty sharp rejections. So if I had to look for a trading opportunity in this, ideally I'd wait for break above VWAP 5.5, open a starting position, take profit here. If it breaks above that, take profit here. The key level to break on this stock, though, obviously, is this level of 5.95. Why? We have this here. We see the stock had a very nice move, then had some consolidation, and then boom, short seller slammed it down on 5.95. Second time we broke above VWAP, we squeezed them. Where did they defend their territory? 5.95. And then look at this candle. Look how the body of this candle is so much lower, the lower end of the candle. That tells you that even though this is a very big move in terms of long bias traders being able to squeeze out short sellers this high, this is a big candle, but then look how strong they were. They pushed that all the way below VWAP, and we still haven't been able to come up above VWAP. So we know that there's a ton of short sellers now that are trapped here. If we can break above 6, we'll squeeze them to high of day, then other short sellers will have stop losses above high of day. If we break that, we can take to 6.5, even 6.75. But this is the level to break 5.95. So sometimes, even though VWAP to 5.95 is a 8% trade, so it's a nice range. But sometimes, if I've seen these sharp rejections a few times, I'll just be patient and wait for a break above that level. Oh, Alfie, our good old friend. We traded the stock a lot also. ALF. Right now, nothing interesting because it's below VWAP and EMA is ways away. So I'd wait. It might find a bottom here. I don't like to take those trades in the middle. After it goes below VWAP, I like it to be on an indicator. So for a reversal trade, I'll wait for a break, for a bounce on this. But we could also potentially get this flag break eventually here. The VIXs are moving today because the market's pulling back again due to the yields rising, the bond yields. And then on these, the volume's too low. Okay, so we have this, we have this, we have this. Alpha's too low right now. This one just popped up on the scanner because it just dropped news. To the 1 minute chart, see if we have time. Okay, we have time for a secondary news move. If you're part of the course, we talk about secondary news moves there, which means when a stock drops news and you have this excessive algorithm buying, you're trying to catch the second move from retail traders actually buying. So on this one, I'd want to bounce on this level, which is the previous level of resistance, should be new support. So I'd love to see a bounce there on 3.9 for a move towards high of day. It could also pull back to VWAP. The problem is, in a news move with the news just recently being dropped, those are very short lived. If it pulls back all the way to VWAP, chances are it's probably going to go break it below and then die a slow death. It's also forming a 1 minute flag, so a break above 428 would be a 5 minute flag break. So that's what we'd be watching here to take this trade on DBGI. Which is also a stock that's frequently traded in the the high here is 406, not 309. 309 is way up, so the trade is actually bounced on 406. And then the high of these two is 425. Okay. And then the news, what is it? So they raised their sales. Okay, that's good. And it's still just breaking news. It seems like they're going to follow up with more. No, but that's great. Good for them. This one we covered already. Something else popped up on scanner. Oh yeah, but the volume's too low. Okay, so why do we care about news? We care about news because basically, again, these are all low floaters, right? So they have also the one in the flag broke. They have a very low number of shares outstanding, and because of that, on little news, they can explode, right? So, for example, this one went up 47%, gapped up 47% on the news that their sales are good, right? This is the small cap world, the low float world that we trade in. By comparison, for example, if Apple came out and said that their sales of the new iPhone are really good, the stock would move 0.80, percent in the day because they have billion shares outstanding. So, in order to move that, someone needs to buy half a billion shares to create a move like this, right? Which no firm is going to buy, no individual is going to buy in one day. So those, stocks take longer to move. These stocks, the outstanding share is 20 million. The outstanding float is 20 million. So on a 20 million float, there's already 3 million shares being traded today. By the end of the day, it'll probably be 40 million, so the float will be rotated a couple times. With that, it can move explosively, right? So going back to the reason why the news are important, this is the stock market is a regulated market, heavily regulated market, and it's like that to protect the investors, to protect retail investors mostly, really, from any manipulation, from any illegal activities, etc. So basically, um, what happens is the exchanges are the first line of defense. And you can see right next to the stock here where they're listed. We trade either NASDAQ or NYSE. So right here, it tells you what exchange it's listed on. The exchange the stock is listed on is responsible. It's the first line of defense to protecting regular investors. So the exchanges watch what's going on, right? So right now, their scanners are also finding that DBGI is gapping up at this point even more than 50%. At this point, where are we at? We're already at 60%. So their scanner are picking that up, and they want to see, okay, why is the stock moving? And then they'll do the same. Be like, oh, okay, fine. Low float, it's moving, it's okay. There is a reason for the move, let it trade, right? But there are times when a stock will do this and there will be no news to back up the move. And that's why, we try and go back. So like, for example, this one, I know there's no news on it today, but we've been trading it so much for the past few weeks. I remember there was news at some point and we found what the news was, right? So there is a valid reason for the move, even though it did not quite happen today. And that's also sometimes tricky. If it didn't happen that day, if like enough time has passed and all of a sudden that day moves like 200%. But within the range that it's moving, I'm not that concerned at the moment. This one, biotech stocks constantly have catalysts, we call these news, because there's not only, and of course, when you include Amazon in the picture, everyone goes crazy because it's a little unknown company, and all of a sudden you put in a no name next to it, and it sort of gives a validity, so investors go crazy. What did I want to say? About the news, I don't remember anymore what I wanted to say. So anyway, going back to my story of, so you want to see that the news is recent enough to justify the move, because then the exchange will leave it alone. Every now and then you'll see moves like this happen without news, and sometimes it's obvious, that it's a short squeeze. If you look at the daily chart, you see where short sellers. This one's also setting up a potential another 1 minute flag break. So we know the last one had an insane resolution. So this is a good one to watch. This one worked 13% in just 3 minutes. I love flag breaks; they're my favorite setups to trade. So anyway, so sometimes, even though it's obvious that it's a short squeeze, when you look on the daily chart and you see where short sellers entered, and then you see clearly where their stop losses started getting triggered. So it might be obvious that it's a short squeeze, but still, if there's no news to justify the move and it goes up like 300%, the exchange could come and say, what's going on? Investors can get really hurt trying to chase a move like this. We're going to halt trading, which means stop trading, and request the company to come out and explain what's going on and why the stock is moving this much. Oftentimes, the assumption from the exchanges, there is a rumor that's being spread around about this company, and no one should be trading based on a rumor. Public companies need to disclose everything there is to know about them. That's why they're public companies. All the information about them should be public. If there is a rumor about something and investors are trading on it, that's not right? Because the rumor is probably some inside information that got out, and that's not right, because then some people have the information, others don't. That's not the way to trade. So they will stop trading on stock and ask the company to come out and explain what the news is, that is moving the stock, and it will be halted news. Sometimes they call it halted news pending for that, but that's not the correct hold. The correct hold is request for more information, when the exchange doesn't know what the news is, and they want the company to come out and be transparent. I'll talk about new spending in a second. So they will hold the stock, request for more information. Then so this could happen literally at right on bell 9:30. The stock opens and the exchange is like, no, hold trading, don't let retail investors get hurt chasing something. We don't know what's going on. Have the company come out and say it. So it can be halted at 9:30. Trading is stopped. You could have entered in the pre-market trading session because you followed this move, you liked it, and all of a sudden now you can't get out of your trade. That's one of the other reasons why we always close our pre-market positions before bell. Not the only one though. The bell is very volatile, and you don't know which way it's going to go. And it's best to just close out your position, your pre-market position, and then start a new position, a fresh position on bell. So anyway, going back to request for more information, the company, it takes them time to get their PR person, their investor relation person, all of these people. It takes them time to put a statement together. So an hour later, if you're lucky, if not, you can wait a couple hours. The company comes out and says, we're not aware of any material news that is causing our stock to move. Basically nothing. Basically what you knew, that there was no news, right? The problem is the stock could open, so on bell, could open here and then get halted immediately. When it reopens for trading after they've said there's no news, it opens here. It doesn't go down. There's no way for you to even get out. It gaps down, meaning it closed here, it opened here. There was nothing in between where you could have gotten out. So all of a sudden you start the day being down 50% because you weren't careful. And here's the flag break. See, like we draw them ahead of time, but we never get a break here because this one, the high is 4.7, 4.69, 4.68, so it keeps going down. Flag break is when it makes a new high. So the high here is 4.55. This one broke above 4.55, and it's moving a little bit, but see, we don't have the confirmation that we like, normally the increased volume. Sometimes it comes as a delayed reaction. So, sometimes I'll still take it. The problem with this one at this point is that this was original news move, and I call that a secondary news move. So I will trade the secondary news move, and normally there's a good resolution. The third, sometimes it's tricky because the news becomes old news, I like to call that. And then it's sort of forgotten, but it's still above VWAP, so it could try and push for high of the day again. It's certainly holding this level so far, 455, a little extended though, so because this flag break was a little closer to VWAP than this one. And we have this nice ascending VWAP. Now VWAP is sort of flattening out, so it's definitely becoming a more a riskier trade here. Okay, so that's why it's important to make sure that you read about the news, because if there's no news, it could get halted, and then when it opens, it could be down 50%. Another thing is sometimes it's not a short squeeze that's causing a move without news. Sometimes it's literally paid pumpers. So again, these small cap companies, a lot of them are not really good companies. They don't always have the best, most honest practices. So sometimes they will pay people to promote their stock, and these people literally go to chat rooms and on Facebook and talk about how the stock is so amazing. Most recently, the big scandal was Genius Brands, right? They had a whole operation. They would post their news on sites that look like they're legit sites. Like, it looks similar to CNBC, but it's not CNBC because CNBC wouldn't even bother reporting it. So they will try and make it sound like they have a big thing coming up, they are in conversations with Disney, they might be on Disney, they might be on Netflix, all of this stuff, and putting it on websites that they created that looked like legit websites that had pumpers everywhere talking about how this is going to be the next Disney, being paid to promote the stock. So it created a problem where so many people ended up putting their life savings in it. Again, so you have to think about it, like the regulations there to protect retail investors, to protect the not sophisticated investors. So this is what happened to this stock, right? Like, it was insanity. It went from sub-dollar to $11. That's a 3,000% move in just, this is a weekly chart, so in just 6 weeks, you went up 3,000% because the float is low. It's easy to manipulate it. and they manipulated it. Now there is a class action lawsuit against them and their practices. And if you were an investor that lost a lot of money here, on the pump and dump, really is what they created, then you can, get in on the class action and whatever. You're never going to get your money back, but maybe you'll get some sense of justice being served. So that's dangerous, because you could be stuck in what's really a pump and dump when there's pumpers being paid to pump the stock, or sometimes not even being paid. In this case, obviously they did have people promoting the company, but at other times it's literally people that have enough reach. It's a chat room with 500,000 members, and they know that if their members buy the stock, if there's 20 million float, and if everyone wants to buy one, they're like, oh my god, like the stock is going to go up so high, let me try and pump it. And they will literally do that. They will say that, oh my god, this is the best stock, and then people will buy it after they've bought it already, right? And then people will buy it, raise the price for them, and they'll just dump it on everyone. This is all illegal, right? So when sometimes, when it's found out, like in the case of Genius Brands, there's going to be a lawsuit, just to make an example out of them, to make sure that investors are not being taken advantage of. But other times it's hard to even track it. That's another reason why I don't trade over-the-counter stocks, OTC, penny stocks, peg sheets, because the regulation there is a lot lower, and you have a lot more of that there. Bad guys that are pumping the stock and then dumping it on people. NASDAQ and NYSE, there is more regulation, so it's harder to do something like that. And if anyone were to do it, they'll probably get caught, so then they know it's not worth it. So there's a little less risk of that here, but still a valid, risk to think about. So if a stock just randomly moves for no reason, I just ignore it, no matter how big of a move it is. Last week there was a stock that in the middle of the day had an insane move, but no news. And in the middle of the day, it's even riskier. So pre-market, if there's no news, normally they will halt it right on bell. They will stop trading right on bell. So you could trade riskier trades pre-market. In the market session, they can halt it any minute, any second. And then what are you gonna do? Then you're trapped in a trade that by the time it reopens, you're gonna be down 50%. So not worth the risk for me. There's so many stocks to trade every day. If a stock doesn't have news, no matter how much it's moving, I'm just ignoring it. Not worth it. And if you ever get stuck in an all-day halt, which I have in my past, you'll probably be so traumatized that you will stay away from them too. And I guess the last thing I wanted to say was the other halt, which is news spending. News spending is a halt when the company has news to announce, and they are halting the trading of the stock because at this point, their officers, people involved in a meeting, people working on the press release, news outlets working on reporting the press release have the information because they needed the information so they can work on announcing it. And during that time, trading is halted to prevent anyone that has this inside information from trading on it. So they will halt trading, news spending, and that means that the company is going to announce some important news. So that halt is also tricky. The other day, we got stuck in a news spending halt, which I was just really upset about, because normally these, because the company did have news 3 days prior to it, and it was good news. So I thought, they were done with the news, and we were trading based on that news. And then it opened on bell for like 5 minutes, and then they halted trading news spending. And I thought that they were going to come out with a secondary offering. We've spoken about offerings on these calls, on these streams. So, and it's very rare normally that they happen in the first hour of the morning. So I don't even think about them in the first hour of the morning. So when that happened, I'm like, oh my God, this is actually going to happen to me. I'm going to get stuck in a secondary offering the first 5 minutes of the morning. So the stock was halted for, I want to say, 2 to 3 hours. And I was just, expecting doom and gloom. Fortunately, the news was good. They were announcing that so 3 days before they had some good piece of news. I forget, I think their sales rose or they got a new product or something. And then 3 days later, they halted the stock news spending. And when they came out with the news was that they had a big partnership for this new product, signed on a big partnership, and actually the stock ended up exploding. So it worked out well for us, but it was really nerve wracking. And normally on these bad companies, when they decide to drop news in the middle of the day, it's normally not good. So I try. That's another reason why I want to make sure that there's news. But you can't always predict it. It's sometimes you can do. No, you can never predict anything. I want to say you can always protect yourself. You can do all the due diligence. You can be really careful. And again, there could be a situation where something unpredictable happens because that's the nature of the market. The market's unpredictable, and there could be, um, instances when something happens that you've never seen, even if you've been trading for a long time. This was creating a flat top on three. We had this level before as a key level because we had the top of these candles there, but now we're seeing we have four rejections of three. So a break above three can cause a nice squeeze. Um, and then I guess the last thing I wanted to say was that sometimes traders can trade the wrong ticker, but this stream is getting a little too long, so maybe we'll talk about it tomorrow. It's a funny occurrence that sometimes happens, and it relates to the whole conversation about news. Okay, so these are really the three stocks I'm the most interested in today. Um, to recap, CEI, just the 5 minute flags, and VWAP bounces, SNOA, flag breaks and VWAP bounces, and then ZIVO, the squeeze levels break above 595, but I would be interested also in break above VWAP for a first trade and then add on the way up. And that's really it. DBGI, I didn't put it here. DBGI had news. There was a secondary news move. There was some long consolidation, but it was finally able to break above it. It seems. So let's see what level caused the squeeze. So break above 465. So we know that's a key level. So I'll remove that. So that should now serve as support. Well, we did already bounce there once, but yeah, that's a key level. It shouldn't break below that. If it breaks below that, short sellers will probably take it all the way to VWAP, and then there could be maybe a VWAP bounce for that move. But anyway, yeah, we know the VIXs are going to be moving today. I can even put VIX here. And the VIX normally has more volume. It's just more volatile because it's triple leverage. Oh, it's double leveraged. Okay, that's it for this morning, guys. I will see you in the chat room.